Another key concept to go over is what's known as dynamic binding. And dynamic binding is the computer making a runtime decision on which method to invoke. So with dynamic binding, we're going to use a little bit of a different example here to take a look at. And I'm going to build this all inside of just one package set here. So I'm going to build multiple classes inside here. All you have to do is just go outside the end class, just to make it easier to show this example, because it is not a long example. Inside here I need my public static void main method, string args. There we go. I'm going to end main. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is set up my other classes. So here I'm going to set up public class, I don't even need the word public here. I'm just going to do class because it's all in the same instance. I'm going to do graduate student again. I'm going to make it extends. I'm going to make it extend student in a minute. So just hold on. Class student extends person. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and set that up so we can run this here. Extends student. Why is this erroring out? Because I don't need these. There we go. These extend person, and inside of here I'm just going to create a method public string toString, and we're going to have it return student, because the student is still a person, but they are identified at that time as a student. And of course it's mad because class person does not exist yet. Extends object, which we have not set up object yet, so don't fret there. Make this public string toString, which is the name of our method, return person. And that should work. Now why is this still erroring out? Duplicate class. Okay, I see why. So I'm just going to name this one students then, because I already had that class name student from earlier. I'm just going to make this extend students. Now, what this is meant to do is meant to kind of create a cycle of classes that can all communicate with each other. So the graduate student can rely on the person being a student, and students can always rely on being people, and people can always in programming rely on being objects. So this is what's known as dynamic binding, because they all in one form or another bind together. So I'm going to go up to my main class again, and I'm going to also create a second method, public static void, and it's just going to be called the letter M. And in here I have object X, and that ties into the extension of this object down here. And this method is going to simply print whatever X is dot toString. That's why we called all these two methods toString, because it's going to tell us what it is. So up here in the main method, and this is a little out there. This is a little bit different kind of thinking, but once you get it, it makes sense. So we're going to create, based off these four methods, extended graduate student, or four classes, I'm sorry. Graduate student, students, and person. We're going to create 3 instances of this method. So M, we're going to make M call to a new graduate student. And there's no parameter, so we don't have to pass anything down. M to new students, since we're using the one we just made. We're going to make M also call to new person. And then just to show that we can do this, M, since we made person an extension of object, we're going to make a check of new object. So when we run it, the graduate student was an extension of student. So the student returned student, which it printed out student, so it did what it's supposed to do. Same with student, because even though it had the same method name, we were calling to students, and it returned student instead of person. Person was the most basic form, and that just simply returned person. Object returned a little bit of a different error message because we never defined object.toString in the object class, which we didn't do anything with because that's the default class of the program. But this is data binding when multiple classes can rely on different things from other classes. So you see, again, our graduate student was a student, our student is a person, and in programming, our person is an object. So it's just a bunch of different classes building off of each other. That's it for data binding.